Hey everyone, and welcome to the next lecture. In this one, we're going to be talking about the basic tools of Sketch. So now we're actually diving in and using specific things. So what do we do next? Well, we just learned how to create our pages and work within the canvases or create the canvases as we see here. Now, what happens if I want to delete a page? Well, I can go ahead and right-click a page. Oops, I don't mean to duplicate it. Right-click it and say delete. And then a little pop-up is going to appear, and it's going to say, do you want to delete your inner page? I'll say yes, and everything on this page will be deleted. So once you click that, it is done, it is deleted, and now you have one page and all the pertaining canvases related to that one page. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert some elements. So I'm going to go ahead and skip vector and pencil because I don't really use those that much. The ones that you probably use a lot are shapes, text, images, artboards, and symbols. So let's go ahead and go into shape, and let's go ahead and select a rectangle. We're going to go ahead and draw a rectangle from left to right, and then I'm going to drag it down a bit. And as I'm doing this, you're going to see numbers, and the numbers tell you how wide it is and how tall it is. And then once I've selected that, it's going to go ahead and put it on my canvas, and now we're going to see rectangle 1 under the home canvas, or the home artboard I should say. And if I click on this little arrow, it closes it, so as I know everything is within that home artboard. If I open it up, I can see rectangle. Now on the right hand side, a lot of stuff just popped up. And don't get too worried because I'm going to walk you through all of it. When you click outside of it, all that stuff goes away because nothing is selected, so there's nothing to edit. But if I go back, it's going to go ahead and give me all the options. Now, first thing is first, let's go ahead and change the color. Now, automatically, because I drew a rectangle, it gives me a fill and a border. But if it doesn't do that, I can go ahead and deselect them and trash them. And in this case, you have a empty rectangle. So you'll have these little plus buttons, and you can add specific things to it. So if I hit plus, I can add a color, and that's what you saw in the fill element here. And if I hit plus, it will add a border, and I'll talk about the colors in a minute. And there you have it. It's the same thing as we had before. Now, if you want to change the color, you can go ahead and click on the color, and it'll drop down as you saw before, and you'll have several different options. Up here, this solid one means it's a solid color, a flat color. The next one will be a gradient color, so it'll go from dark to light, and you can select your colors of how you want, whether you want it dark, and the other one you can make it a different color, and it can go like that. Or you can even do a circular one, the clock one, or you can input an image in there to fill it, or you can do textures. That's the word I'm looking for. But in this case, we're going to just do a solid color. And it's going to give you preset colors down here, which are really, really nice. I believe it goes up to white. All these extra ones over here, I think I've added in previous documents. So, these are our global colors. So I'm going to go ahead and select a green, and then I'm going to click on this color again to close it, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the border because I don't want that, and I'm going to hit the trash icon to get rid of it, and now border says return back to its default state. But now what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit. I'm going to go ahead and select shadow because I want to add a drop shadow to this. And automatically it's going to go put it in there at defaulted 0240. In this case, I want the drop shadow to be very, very subtle. So I'm going to click on the color. And as you can see here, we have a slider of different values from dark to light in terms of its opacity. I'm going to go ahead and click on this to make it a little bit lighter. And as you can see over here, it is getting lighter. I'll do that again. Moving it to the left, and it's getting very, very light. And that looks good. I'm going to hit that. And now I want to move it. So if I hit the up button, it's going to move down in the Y category. So the higher the number, the more down it will go. And the lower the number, the more close it will get to that edge. I'm going to go ahead and go into the X section. And I'm going to hit the up button and move it to the right, and down buttons moving it to the left. I'm going to leave it at 0 for now. Now I'm going to go to the blur section, and if I move it up, it's going to get more blurry and more spread out. So I'm going to leave it around 5. And now the spread, meaning how far it's going to be from the actual shape. In this case, I'm going to leave it at 0. So I'm going to go ahead and click outside of it and then click back into the rectangle again. I'm going to go ahead and just move it, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to center this on the canvas. Now the next thing we should be talking about is the alignment tools. Your alignment tools will be up here. They're very easy to use, very simple to use. So what I want to do is I want to align it horizontally to the canvas. So I'm going to hit this middle one, and it's going to align it perfectly smack center to this canvas. Now I want to align it to the top, so I'm going to go ahead and say align to the top. And you can tell how to do this because there are lines that indicate the portion that it will align to. So in this case, it's to the left. This one's in the middle. This line is to the right. This one's at the top. This one's at the bottom. And this one's vertically. Obviously, the darker portion of the line indicates the point in which you will be aligning the object to the canvas. Now, if I zoom in here a bit, it looks like it's kind of perfect to the canvas, but I'm going to go ahead and offset this and make it smaller, and I'm going to adjust it so you can see how to change now the size by typing in to the sizing element here. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and click on my home canvas, or the home title up here, and it's going to tell me that the width of my canvas is 723. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on my rectangle, and then it says my width of this is 700. I'm going to paste in that 723, and then it's going to go ahead and resize. If I want, I can also click on the down arrow on the height, and that'll make it smaller, or click up to make it bigger. If I wanted to change proportionately, I can hit the lock icon and then change it, and proportionately it will change in height, and the width will stay at point something something. It really depends. Or you can do the other way and change the width, and then the height will adjust accordingly. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that, so I'm going to leave it unlocked and bring it back to my original section. Now, next on this is the radius icon, or the radius section, I should say. I'm going to go ahead and draw another symbol, or actually I'm going to copy this symbol, and I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller, and I'm going to show you what the radius symbol does. So, radius symbol, if I click and drag, it takes your corners and makes them circular. So this is really good if you want to create a button for web or mobile, and it will round the corners perfectly, which is really, really nice. And there you have it. That's how you change radiuses. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is adding, let's see, we talked about shadows, we talked about borders, fills. Now we have inner shadow, and we can add an inner shadow, and it's the same element as we talked about fill and shadows. You click color, and then you can change the color of it, and you can change how light or how dark it's going to be, as well as its blur and its spread. And then if you want to blur something, you can click on blur, Gaussian blur, and then select this, and then it will change to the different types of blurs that you want to do, whether it's motion blur, zoomed blur, or background blur, which I'll talk about later on. And you can increase its amount or decrease its amount. And then finally, just to make it easy, if you want to export your document, you can go ahead and click home, and then we have a thing down here called make exportable. It's also like that if you click on this element saying make exportable, and then you have different types of sizes that you can choose from: 1x, 2x, 0.5, 3x, and 5w, and 5h. Don't worry about 5w and 5h. 1x and 2x is all you need to worry about. Just do 1x for now. I'll explain 2x and all the others later on. And then we can choose our format, whether we want to PNG, JPEG, TIFF, PDF, EPS, or SVG. And then once we selected the one we want, we say export rectangle. and it will export that element only. So if I hit save, it'll save it to my desktop. And if I go here, we see our rectangle. But if I want to see it within the canvas, I'm going to go ahead and click on Home, go to Make Exportable again, click on Background Color to give it white, say Export Home, and we'll see it's going to save it as home. We hit save, and now we have the white background. Very, very easy. All right, let's go ahead and click back on the rectangle. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about styles. We can create a new style, and we can name it Rectangle Style 1. Leave it as is. Whoops. And now we have a style that we can use. So if I create another shape, let's say a circle, I can go to Share Style, select it, and everything that I've done to this rectangle will be applied to this circle. Really, really simple. It's going to come really in handy in the future if you're going to be doing really intricate stuff. Another thing we can do is rotate it by choosing the transformation section, or we can flip it. In this case, it's not asymmetrical, so I will give you a shape that would indicate a flippage. So if I were to flip this, as you can see, we can click it to flip it. Well, in that case, you can't do it that way, but as you can see, we can flip it, which is a really great feature to have right there. So anything you want to do editing-wise will be on the right-hand side or on the top. Anything you need to do to adjust your layerage would be on the left. And we'll talk about layers in another section. And there you have it. That is pretty much a basic of Sketch. And let's go ahead and dive right on into the next one. And next we'll be talking about the text tool. If I go ahead and click on the text tool, I can click on the canvas and then it will say type something. Now, this will happen with all different types of elements. If I drag something halfway off the canvas, you'll only see half of it. If I drag it completely off the canvas, you'll see all of it. Why is it like this? I'm not really sure. But it is nice if you need to hide something off the canvas. So in this case, my size of my text is really massive. And now we can see that we have a new section that's been added here, because in the rectangle section, as we saw here, we have all of our color elements, borders, blends, shadows, and stuff like that. But if we click on the type, now we have our typefaces we can choose, our weights, our colors, sizing, alignments, all the elements that you would need for typing. So I'm going to go ahead and make my size 14. And I've lost my type. Ah, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and just move it onto my canvas really quickly. And now I can type something by double clicking. And now I have typed something. I can change the typeface by clicking on here and searching for one and selecting it. In this case, I'll select Arial and it will change it. And I can change its weight and it will change right there. And I can change its color by selecting any color that I want. And again, as you saw earlier, its size. It says Hello World. Now if I want to change its alignment, as you can see, it's left aligned. If I want to make it centered, I hit the centered icon. Or if I want to make it right aligned, I hit the right aligned. Or if I want to make it justified, I can make it justified by hitting that. We can make the width auto or fixed. And we can adjust spacing, whether it's spacing of the characters by making it wider, or line spacing and making it longer, as well as paragraph spacing and making the paragraphs wider. In this case, I don't have a paragraph option to show you, but I can add one. Aha. 12. Oh, that's right. Forgot. If you're going to be doing this, make sure you draw your box for type. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my little icon, and there we go. And make my box bigger, and now I can adjust my paragraph spacing. Let's say I type 20. And now my lineage. And there we have it. And those are some basic elements to use within Sketch. Now, next one we're talking about is image. We can select an image from our library. And this is a picture that I took the other day. And we can import it into the actual file. Now this image I have is really big. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the scale tool. And I want to say scale down by 50%. And it's going to scale down, but even that's still too big. So I'm going to say scale down to 10%. And there we go. It's become smaller, and it does it proportionately. And that is how to input an image into your canvas. We'll be talking about masking and other elements later on. But that is how to do all the basics in Sketch, well, at least some of them currently. And those are all the popular items that you would need to use for your most basic elements. All the other ones are a little bit more advanced, but hopefully you understand some of the basics on how to set up stuff and throw items on there, such as shapes, text, and images. We'll be talking about more stuff next, so stay tuned, and we'll be diving in even a step further. See you guys in the next one.